Friends, welcome once again for yet another PARDES session. Today, it's about purchase of immovable property outside India by resident and purchase of immovable property in India by non-residents. It's a very interesting topic per se. Maybe very simple to discuss in one line, but the regulation when a immovable property has to be acquired, especially when we say immovable property, it means residential, commercial, as well as agricultural property, and also properties which are taken on leases, not owned but leasehold. When the transaction of immovable property involves exchange of currency from one country to another, that is where the regulation starts. We have with us seasoned two experts with us, Sri V.V. Sampath Kumarji, chartered accountant, an insolvency professional, and a registered valuer, an expert on indirect taxes, who will lead the session. And also, we have with us Madam Lalita. She will take us through some of the very interesting areas in this particular topic. Now, let me request Sampath Kumarji to lead the session and take it forward. Over to you, Ji.
Dr. Raju and Madam Lalita, very nice to see you again for this yet another program on knowledge sharing in respect of foreign exchange. Dr. Raju is a chartered accountant, company secretary, cost accountant, insolvency professional, valuation professional. It goes on. Madam Lalita is in international banking for more than 3 decades and is a consultant now. Thank you, madam. Very nice to see you both for this program. Let me shoot the first question with respect to today's program on acquiring immovable property, be it in India by a foreign NRI in India or Indian acquiring property in a foreign country. Both I would like to address. Can a resident continue to hold immovable property outside India which was acquired by him when he was a non-resident?
Well, see here, this is made very clear. So earlier the person was a non-resident and now this person has become a resident. Yes. So the question is whether they can continue to hold that property, whatever they have acquired outside India, when this person was a non-resident. Today, though the person has become a resident, they can continue to hold, they can own it, they can maintain it, they can even transfer or sell, or they can invest in such a property outside India. If this has been bought by this person or inherited from a person, this has been bought by this person when this particular person was a non-resident, and maybe it was inherited by this person today from a non-resident Indian. In all these cases, it can be held, owned, and transferred. It's allowed.
Thank you. Thank you. Very nice. In simple terms, he can continue to hold and deal in the property when he was an NRA acquired the property. Simple. Thank you, Madam. Dr. Raju, I am a resident in India. I would like to acquire a property outside India and send remittances and purchase that. Can I do so?
Definitely. I am resident in Chennai. I wish to acquire a property in Singapore. I can do so. Now, when I have identified a property in Singapore, one particular office space I've identified, I want to buy in my name. I have to send money outside India. Singapore dollars I have to send. Now, as an individual, we know that we can remit outside India a limit of per annum 250,000 US dollars can be remitted outside India and in equivalent INR, it is 2 crore Indian rupees. Maybe if the Singapore office is 10 crore INR, five people can remit the money outside India. I repeat, five persons, five family members. I can pool it and send the money outside India. And equivalent to that in Singapore dollar, I can purchase the property. But there is only one restriction. If I family pool the remittances, the property should be in the name of all the members who make the remittance. If there are five family members, property should be in all their names. So I cannot say that no, I have remitted on behalf of my other four family members. I will only have the property in my name because I have taken their limit also. Property should be in their name. So it's a very interesting aspect. So, point number one, can I buy a property outside India? Yes. Point number two, is there a limitation? Yes, up to 2,50,000 US dollar. Now, if I have to do it more, I can pool my family resources also. Only condition, it should be in the joint names.
So, Dr. Raju, you have said that it is possible with the restriction and amount restriction and the pooling with the further restriction, it should be jointly held. Madam, to whom the restrictions of transferring property outside India is not applicable. There is a condition which Raju said there is a restriction. Is there any relaxation or no restriction applicability in respect of an acquiring of a property outside?
So here again, we are talking about the residents, right? So when I talk of the resident, we had made it very clear to you in the first two questions, a resident individual can buy a property, but there are restrictions, okay? There are restrictions regarding the country and all other prohibitions are there, right? So we're not going into the details of the restrictions. But these restrictions of limit or anything is not applicable to whom? It's very simple. He is a foreign national, but he is a resident of India. So, like somebody who has come to India on, on deputation, a foreigner is here, or a foreign national who is working in a company here in India. In all these cases, this becomes he becomes a resident foreign national in India. So, from banking angle, maintaining an account like savings account and other things will be on par with the resident Indians, because once they stay beyond that certain period of time and they become temporarily but not a permanent resident in India. So can they acquire property outside? Yes, no restrictions on that. Okay. And the person who acquires a property outside India, whoever is a resident Indian, in this case, if it was acquired before the partition, right, then in that case, they will be holding it continuously after obtaining the permission from RBI. And if it was under a lease or anything, provided the lease period is not more than 5 years, then there are no restrictions. So these are the three basic points. Who is a resident? Is he a foreign national? No questions asked. Has the property been acquired before the partition? No problem, because we would have taken the permission and then it has been continuing. The permission will be valid. And if it was under lease, it is possible, but provided the lease period is not beyond 5 years.
So there are three relaxations. One is a foreign national resident in India acquired prior to partition and with their permission, and also lease period not exceeding 5 years. These are the
Yeah.
three relaxations. Thank you. Very nicely put it, madam. And Dr. Raju, how can immovable property be acquired outside India by a resident in India?
Well, one angle we already discussed. Can I buy property outside India? So,
Yes.
by sending remittances. So, we call this in technical terms under Foreign Exchange Management Act. It is called as a capital account transaction. So, anything which is related to immovable properties, plant and machinery you want to buy. So all these are capital account transactions. So this is guided by a Foreign Exchange Management Act, Section 6. Now we need to understand one thing very clear here. Now, Can an immovable property be acquired outside India? By can you purchase it? Yes. Can I inherit a property, immovable property outside India? Yes. That also you can inherit. Can I get as a gift? For example, inheritance means I am working in India and settled in India, but my sister is settled abroad, and they don't have any. Sister doesn't have any kith and kin. So after her, the property is devolved on me. I am inheriting that particular property. She has a apartment there. Can I inherit? Yes, I can do so. Can I get a gift from a person, immovable property? Say my sister is having three apartments there, and she wants to gift one apartment to me. Can I get? Yes. Why not? The There is no restriction with respect to that. But let us understand one thing. If I have to uh, be a joint owner, for example, I want to be a joint owner, jointly with a relative. Okay, for example, my sister or my brother, my relative, they want to buy a property, but they say, no, 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 why I should inherit, why the inheritance and all. Please understand one thing. In US, inheritance is subject to 40%. Inheritance is subject to 40%. India is one of the countries in the world where there is no inheritance tax. So therefore, people in US, this concept of inheritance, they may plan it in such a way that no, no, I will have my brother, sister, or relatives as a joint owner. So jointly with the relative, but please understand there is no outflow of funds from India. Okay, so I don't send money abroad, but can I be a joint owner? Yes, possible. So you can inherit, you can get a gift, you can also be a joint owner, provided you should be a relative. Maybe if my friend is buying a property, can I be a joint owner with my friend? No. But relative definition means again, FEMA will say go to Companies Act only. So all the nearby relatives are covered in that. So, meaning immovable property can be acquired outside India by a resident in all these means.
Thank you, Dr. Raji. Very nicely analyzed the various possibilities through inheritance or gift or jointly with a relative, and also touched about the capital account transaction. Yeah.
I want to add one more. For example, there are offices outside India. So, that is an Indian company, they have a subsidiary outside India. So, now for the subsidiary companies, we have employees. Now, I want to give residential accommodation to the subsidiary company's employees. So, we buy a property. So, by remitting from the holding company, Indian company, we can, subsidiary company, we can transfer funds. That is allowed. Now, from there, they want to acquire a property, not in individual, not in a company name, but it will be individual name. So, it is equivalent to getting a loan. But I am resident here. So can a property be acquired, or purchased, okay, by an Indian company having overseas office for housing its business or for residence of staff? So we have to be very careful here. So if I'm resident here, and if it is holding company and subsidiary company, funds will be with subsidiary company. So they can buy property in the company's name, but not in any individual's name, just because I'm a director or I'm a key managerial person. So that a point we have to be careful with.
Very nice, very nice. The other possibilities holding company, subsidiary company in the name of the company, not in the name of the individuals or employees. Very nice, very nice. Very aptly explained, Dr. Raju. Thank you very much. Madam, there are NRIs, non resident Indians. There are OCIs, overseas citizen of India. Whether they can acquire property in India, madam.
Yeah, again, basically, when we talk of the non resident Indians, they are basically Indians by origin. So, what about then OCIs? OCIs are also persons of Indian origin. So whatever is normally in most of the cases, other than the visa formalities or other than something like the voting requirement and all these requirements, the benefits which are extended to the NRIs and overseas, there are certain differences only in these cases. Okay. So when we talk of an NRI and an OCI, these two are basically Indians by birth, and NRIs are still holding the Indian citizenship, and OCIs are not holding the Indian citizenship. That's a basic difference. But they are treated on par as far as the property questions arises, like about buying property in India. Can they buy? Yes. But remember always one thing: an NRA or OCA, whoever it is, they cannot invest in agricultural land, the farmhouses or plantation, etc. So what can they do? They can buy properties, they can acquire properties, they can get it as a gift, no problem. So they can get it from whom? They can get it from a resident, they can get it from another NRA or another OCA, it's allowed. But they are getting an inheritance, right? So when they get the inheritance part of it, it doesn't mention key like it cannot be an agricultural land because it's after all inherited by them. So they can inherit an immovable property in India from a resident, right? Or anybody, there is a law like it talks about who has acquired the property originally. What does it say? FEMA says under 24A, it talks about 24A, B, and C, it talks about the acquisition of the properties. So if they have acquired under that law, whichever is in force, then these people can inherit from them. They can inherit any property in India from a resident Indian. Okay. This is from the point of receiving. What about giving, selling? The NRIs and OCIs can sell the properties, whatever they have acquired here, to residents, to other NRIs or OCIs. Okay. But here again, that when you are selling it to another NRA, though I have inherited an agricultural land, can I sell it to another NRA? No. I can sell it to a resident Indian. If it is agricultural land, I can sell. If it is agricultural land, I can gift. There's no problem to a resident only. So in all other cases, to sum it up, I can acquire property in India as an NRA and OCI, provided it is not an agricultural land, farmhouse, or plantation. Okay. Can I
Madam,
inherit? Can I get it as a gift? Yes. From other resident or non-resident, no problem in India. But can I sell it? When the point of view of selling it comes, if it is an agricultural land which has been inherited by an NRI or OCI, it can be sold only to a resident Indian. That is one small mindset that we need.
madam, you have nicely highlighted and explained. My understanding is that acquiring there are restrictions by way of inheritance or a gift. If there is agricultural or plantation or a farmhouse, it cannot be dealt with by him by sale to any
No,
other
no.
NRI or OC.
No, excuse me. I just want to say this. Acquiring, I mean, getting it as a gift or buying it, you can't do it on plantation or farmlands or anything agricultural lands. Only as an inheritance you can acquire, get this,
Yeah,
not otherwise.
any
Not
property
even
can
as
be
a gift.
acquired other than agricultural or farmhouse or plantations, but by inheritance, if it devolves on the person who is an NRI or OCI, they may get the title, but when it want to sell it, they cannot sell it to another NRI or OCI. It can be sold to resident individuals
Resident.
only.
Super.
Very nice,
Yes.
very nice,
Thank
very super,
you.
very super. Thank you. And Dr. Raju, when a property is acquired in India, what are the types and modes of payment that can be affected for acquiring such property in India?
Very good. So I am in Saudi Arabia. I am in Dubai. So I've gone there only to earn money. So I want to come back to India maybe after 5 years or 10 years. So I will be interested to buy a property in India, maybe in any of the metro cities or tier 2. Now, 100 smart cities are there. So any of the smart cities, I want to buy an apartment or a constructed property. Is it permitted? Yes. So it will be a residential property I want to buy. And can I invest in a commercial property? Yes, you can do so because it's your money. The only restriction is buying an agricultural land or a farmhouse. The point number two, this money has to be remitted only through banking channel. So I'm in Dubai. So from a Dubai bank, it has to come to an Indian bank, and from there only it should go to the respective seller's account. Or I could have already saved money in my NRE account, non-resident external account, or the money will be already there in NRO account, non-resident ordinary account, or I would have put a deposit in foreign currency itself. So I would have been invested in US dollars or Singapore dollars or dirhams, or in any currency. I will be having a deposits in terms of fixed deposits in FCNRB account. So those money also I can use, or I can remit directly and then give to the respective seller. Can I take a loan? Yes. Remember, kindly remember, Ji, this loan should be only for a residential accommodation. Commercial, there will be a restriction. Why you are there? Why you want to buy a commercial property? So, what is the answer I will give? So, if you want to take a loan, I want to buy, you are permitted. So, you want to buy a residential property, you are permitted. Now, loan will be in INR. Number one, loan will be against your NRO, NRE, FCNR deposits also. Loan can be given even in by your employer also, but your employer has to give the housing loan as per the scheme again in INR only. So even though you are an NRI, you can take a loan, housing loan, and buy a property. So that is also possible, but banks will give loan only through, INR housing loan only. So very interesting. But one more restriction is there. I will be bringing traveler check. I will be bringing some the foreign currency notes. So that foreign currency notes or traveler check, you cannot use it for the purpose of buying an immovable property. So that alone we need to be very careful. That is a
So
violation.
you are highlighting that through the banking channel, only the remittance, the mode of payment can be affected. It can be through NRO or NRE or FCNRB or these are the modes. But loan can also be taken only in respect of residential property. Restriction being the agricultural and plantation or a farmhouse. These are the overall. Please, Raju.
I already have a property. I don't want to buy a new property, but I want to do maramat. I want to do repairs. I want to reconstruct. I want to renovate. That is also possible. So the
So
same mode. So again, banking channel
doing
you
or
can bring.
renovation, repair, maintenance, acquiring, or improving that, whatever that. Okay, that's a very fine. Touching upon the basic tenets are very nicely explained. I think we touched this in respect of our NRO or NRE session also. I think if I remember correctly. Madam Lalita, I think every time I'm addressing doctor, you should get an upgrade also. Can foreign embassies, yeah, please, foreign embassies, diplomats, and consul generals, whether they are permitted to acquire property in India? I think we touched this in a different fashion in one of the questions. Can you highlight on that?
Yeah. See, anybody who has come from abroad, like who is working here, we have discussed as a foreign national. So, foreign national, like that includes the diplomats, the consulate generals, and everyone, right? So can they purchase and sell the immovable property? Yes, they can do. But what is required? In any time when anybody invests, any NRA or a foreign national, anybody invests in India, what we look at it is like FEMA looks only at this. Who can give the clearance? Who can give the approval? One. Two, the source of funds. Kahan se aana hai? Where from the funds should come? Is it something which is earned in India or it is something which has to come from outside? So these two things, if you look at it and we are careful, we won't commit mistakes. One, in this case, the clearance from the External Affairs Ministry is required. the Ministry of External Affairs, that clearance is required for any such purchase or sale of property in India by these people. One, two, for the payment, the funds will have to come from abroad through proper banking channels. It should be a foreign inward remittance. So these are the 2 points that we have to remember.
Very nice, madam. Inward remittance and the clearance from External Affairs Ministry. These are
Yes.
applicable in respect of embassy, foreign embassies or diplomats or consuls. Dr. Raju, whether the
Ah,
same is applicable with respect to a foreign national who is acquiring a property in India, Dr. Raju?
very nice question. So, foreign national, we need to understand one thing. Maybe if he's of Indian origin, not an issue. That means he is not having an Indian passport. But there is a prohibition for 11 countries. That is the only part we need to understand. Who are those 11 countries? Majority are our neighbors only. So, who are our neighbors? Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, China, Iran, Nepal, Bhutan, Macau, Hong Kong, and Korea. So, these are the 11 countries, foreign nationals alone, they have to be careful. So, can they buy immovable property in India? No, but they can buy with permission from Reserve Bank. Okay, they have to ask permission. It is not prohibited, but prior permission is required. Second, this prior permission is also not required for these 11 country nationals. If they want to, for example, they want to take an office temporarily. So any person from Sri Lanka, they want to have an office here on lease, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, maximum 5 years. So they also don't need to get a prior permission. But with respect to other than these 11 countries, they are permitted to buy property in India through normal banking channel. Number two, since it is an immovable property, you have to register with the local sub-registrar office. Local sub-registrar office. So therefore, you need, if at all there is a state government restriction. So if at all there is a state government, Maharashtra has some restriction. Okay, because after the Bombay incident in Taj Mahal, they have some restriction with respect to registration if it is done by a foreign national. So they will do their local verification and then they will permit. Even though they are not from these 11 countries, 11 countries prior permission. Other than these 11 countries also, state government has a restriction. So that we have to be careful with.
So, with respect to 11 countries, general permission is not there, specific permission has to be sought. With respect to other aspect of what you are told, state government restriction, if at all anything is to be looked into before going into that. Madam, there is a concept called long term visa holder. Whether they can acquire property in India, madam.
Yeah, when we talk of the long term visa holders, like we need to understand first, we give it to whom? When we talk, like Dr. Raju was talking about the neighboring countries. So let's talk about Pakistan, Bangladesh, or Afghanistan. There, who are the minorities? In those countries, anyone other than those who follow the Islam religion, they are the minorities. That is the Hindus, the Sikhs, the Christians, the Jains, Parsis, and Buddhists. So these people who belong to the minority community in these countries, India, that is Pakistan, Bangladesh, or Afghanistan, if they are the citizens over there, but they are residing in India, maybe for business or maybe for certain any other purpose for which they have been given a long-term visa by the central government. In that case, of course, they do need a place to dwell, right? They need a dwelling unit. They need a residential, for residential purpose, they need a house. They can buy a property, one property they can buy, because that is all. You can't live in two places, right? So one property. I'm also into some self-employment. I have my own company or my business or something. I can have another property which can be used for carrying out this, for this self-employment business alone, for this purpose alone. So then what does the Act say? The Act says, no, you need to look at Section 28 of Foreign Exchange. What does it say? FEMA non-debt regulations. It talks about the payment methods, how the money has to come from abroad and everything. So, an LTV holder, long term visa holder of these three countries, like when they belong to the minority religion, naturally they would have been given an LTV here. So, they can buy one property to live here and one property for doing the business. It's allowed.
Thank you, madam. That point is single residential unit or for
Mm.
a business with a restriction, whatever normal, they can acquire and do that. That's a long
Yeah.
term piece of work. That's very nicely explained. Dr. Raju, can a spouse of an NRI or OCI who is not an NRI or OCI can acquire a property in India? The
Very,
wife or
very,
husband?
yeah, very good question. So it is possible. So in one line,
Yes.
now the point is, if it is her own funds, there is no question because money is in India and she is buying property in her name. Okay, he or she. But if the property is bought in wife's name, but the husband is in Canada, so then the interesting question arises. So funds is remitted from abroad, but property is in the name of spouse. So there, it is advisable and also recommended by the Reserve Bank of India that the property should be jointly with his or her NRI spouse. So that will be a right way of having a property in the name of a resident spouse where funds are emitted by a non-resident Indian.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Raju. If it is her own funds, there are no restriction. If it is the source originates from a foreign thing, you have put that jointly held or whatever it is. Madam, we have touched this question. This is a last question. I think we have directly addressed in some other session. I think so. Can a non-resident repatriate the sale proceeds of immovable property in India, madam?
Yeah, see, it's very simple. How did I acquire it? Did I buy it here? Like, have I taken loan to buy here? Or I have inherited? All that we need to see. But in general, when you look at it, whether I can repatriate, can I send the money outside India if I have inherited? Yes, with RBI approval. And if I have bought it here, I've held it, I've taken it as a gift, or I have inherited from somebody here, my relative, or I was working in India. I'm a foreign national and I have retired from the employment. So when I was here, you had allowed me to buy a property here. Now I'm leaving India. I want to sell it. Yes. In all these cases, in all the cases, up to US dollar 1 million per financial year is allowed. Okay, subject to payment of all the tax in India, the capital gains or whatever tax that was applicable to. Okay, and if it was like anything, again, to talk about it in depth when you go further, anything other than agricultural land, farmhouse, and plantation property, whatever you have inherited here or whatever you have bought or invested here, you can sell it and take it outside India, subject to payment of tax. But if it is a residential, again, what we see, as I told you, what was your status when you acquired it? From whom did you acquire it? And where from the funds have come? Whether the funds have come from abroad to acquire this in case you have bought it, and if it's a residential property, you can't remit the sale of more than two properties. You can't sell more than two properties. Ka jo hota hai na, that remittance, the proceeds, that you cannot remit outside India. Not more than two properties is what we need to remember.
So the remittance is possible subject to these restrictions. Repatriation is permitted by seeing the source or the manner of investing and whatever that. And I am sincerely grateful to both of you for sharing your knowledge on this minute aspect, because these days immovable properties are acquired, dealt with, and money is going, coming. All these things are happening. Thank you very much for spending your time and sharing your knowledge. Dr. Raju, thank you very much. Madam Lalita, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much,
all.
Ji, and thank you, Madam Lalita.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.